Such a great dance.
Welcome back, Sports Ranter Nation. We are your hosts, Nico, Jake, Drew, and Ben, here to help you put together your championship fantasy football teams. And what an exciting week. Week 11 is in the books, and we have to kind of update everybody on the standings, make sure we keep it up. And believe it or not, we got Jake on live stream talking about he's going to quit. He's done. His season's over after Rashid Rice got injured. And now he's back in first place in his division. And it's very close. Drew is still hanging in there. Only one game back.
I'm right there, baby.
I'm in second place with a higher playoff percentage. How does this work?
Crazy, dude.
I don't know how this is. I was trying to figure this out, but yeah, that's the deal.
Based on remaining schedule.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because of my division. And then Nick, same thing, right? 2 games back, but you're still in the race, correct?
Yeah, with most points. Yeah, it's very, very frustrating.
With the most points. Oh,
all right. That's big, though, dude. That's big.
I'm nervous. I'm at a coin flip, and I hate that. I hate that my team has the most points, and I'm a coin flip to make the playoffs.
Hey, I mean,
by now I'd be, in.
You're gonna make money. Right now, if you stay on course, you're gonna make $100. There you go, money back.
Jake,
I'm not in it for money back. I'm in it for back to back.
Jake, did you do anything in particular? Looking back, was it just luck? Was it just hanging in there? Was it just doing these things that we talk about every week? What has kept you in the game? Now we're in the division race headed in. What's kept you in, buddy?
So listen, I started out 3-0. Okay, Rashid Rice gets hurt, and I'm not going to say that was my whole team or anything like that. But I think the biggest thing why my team took a 5-week skid and lost 5 in a row before I've kind of came back on this little win streak is Tua coming back and Devon Achane being relevant again. Because when Tua went out, Devon Achane fell off the wagon. That was my second round pick. Amon-Ra hadn't really had that game. He'd had average okay games, but in a full point PPR compared to last year, being my, I think I drafted 5th or 4th or something like that. Like he was not producing what you'd hope that spot would pick. And then my 3rd round pick, Deebo Samuel, has not done anything all year. So it was just kind of down the board. But like we keep trying to tell people in the show, I was 3-5. It was like, yeah, I wanted to quit. There's nobody on waivers. I got Ramondre Stevenson as my second running back. But dude, players start going off. People start producing. I got a lot of offers for Devon Achane. Most of them that were from Drew here. And for Amon-Ra, and it was like, you know what? Like, I'm not giving up on him. Like, I'm not out of it at 3-5. I'm not giving up. And now it's just kind of right back in the thick of things. We got the last 3 weeks are divisional matchups, and those are huge. I definitely don't want it to go to being a tie record with somebody like Nick and then have to go to points scored, to decide that. But yeah, it's just the players you believe in, like it's a long season. You can't overdo it. And 3-5, you can come back from that. It's still wide open, and there's just a lot of seasons. So you just kind of got to just keep focused, keep streaming defenses and looking at the waiver wire, all that. So yeah, anything can happen.
Nick, in your situation, like I said, all is well if you make it, right? But you got to make it. And so in your position, when you're scoring points and there's nothing happening on the waiver wire, what are we going to do at this point to help get in for other people that are in the same situation?
Being a religious man, pray and hope. I mean, yeah, I still like my team. I have a lot of solid guys. I mean, I can't, the one guy that I'm disappointed in would be DJ Moore.
Yeah. That was the fall off. I think his fall off was where your kind of fall off.
Yeah, that's where I need that extra guy in there. Terry McLaurin's had a couple of down weeks now that Jaden Daniels has come down to earth too. My running backs aren't getting touchdowns. Henry is, but Kamara and Taylor actually been great yardage wise, but no touchdowns. So they're getting me 12 points with 120 yards, total. Or Kamara got me like 14 out of 140 all-purpose yards, and yeah, you think it's okay.
Not enough in our league.
Yeah, it's not enough. Like I need, you need those 20, 30 guys from my bell cows, and quarterback too at a spot, star Russell Wilson and Baker Mayfield before the bye. But I like my matchups this week. Like again, a lot of it's matchup based. You gotta stick with it. My best pick that I like, obviously, is Brock Bowers. The guy's just money. Got him late in the draft. My second tight end actually, and he's just plug and play. It's pretty awesome there, but we'll see, man. I got a 50-50 shot according to ESPN. So I'm gonna stick with it. Baker Mayfield plays the Giants this week, and so I'm hoping to bounce back from my quarterbacks because I haven't done anything for the last like 3 weeks.
Please, Mike Evans, come back.
I know if Mike Evans come back, even better. I'll be sitting pretty with that. But yeah, I mean sometimes you have your stud guys just have down weeks or they just don't get in the end zone. You just gotta, way I was riding them high when I was scoring 170 every week for 3 weeks. So it just happens that way, and then you just gotta, if your team's solid, you'll make it. So hopefully I'll make it, and we'll be good to go.
Drew, you're in a similar situation where you're just a couple games back, and we got 3 games left. So what needs to happen for you to get in, bud?
For me, it's easy, dude. I gotta win out my division. I don't necessarily have to win out my division. I just need Jake to lose. If Jake loses, I'm right there.
Start looking for Plan B, son.
I mean, we're gonna play each other at some point. So I mean, it's gonna come down to, at that point, it will come down to points for and this, that, and the other. And me and him are like, we're neck and neck in this league right now. We're right next to each other as far as that. So it's really gonna come down to division, because other than that, like, one of us isn't going to get it probably. You know what I mean? Because there's better records throughout.
I don't have a lot of points scored because of when Tua went out and Amon-Ra's slow start and Devo's ineptitude to do anything. It was like, yeah, I'm not going to win on points.
Yeah, so me and Jake are like right there neck and neck. So one person's going to win the division and the other person's probably not going to make playoffs. So it's going to be down to these next couple games, next divisions, where it really comes down to who's who and what's what, as far as like my team, where I think I did my biggest regret is probably going to be, my running backs in this league. It's going to be Breece Hall, who hasn't really like hit where you'd think he'd be a top 3 player, and then Isaiah Pacheco. Like, I haven't had him since week 2. So it's like, making it work with Jordan Mason and these other guys who, helped me get to at least a playoff potential is huge. But I just hope that, with Isaiah Pacheco maybe coming back this week would be huge. Breece Hall having a good game last week. Hopefully he continues to carry. Like, there's definitely my receivers in this league are stacked, so that's not my concern. It's just if my running backs and George Kittle, who's been probably my best pick all year, is George Kittle, if he can come back on the field and do what he's been doing all year. So this week's going to be a tough week for me. I got some bye weeks. There's some tough bye weeks going on in the world of fantasy football. So, I got Breece Hall and Travis Etienne on a bye week, and so I'm filling it in. I'm hoping that Pacheco's going. If he's going, I'm playing him right away. I'm not even hesitating. I have to. I have nobody else. So, my fingers are tied that Pacheco pays off, dude.
I gotta give a shout out to my because I got this guy in actually, unfortunately, not this league, but
Estimate.
No, my best pick, and I, like I said, I took him in four of my leagues, was Jameson Williams for the Lions, because he was so late, and it's like, that dude has just been when he's not getting suspended, solid as can be. But that guy, that was some late round late round magic. So
Yeah, I got him in this league.
oh yeah. So
yeah, he's boomer bust though. You know what I mean? Like there's one. Obviously, he got suspended.
10th round pick though, the
No,
booms are great.
For a bye week fill in or whatever, the other, like for me, I had Marvin Harrison on a bye last week, and so I plugged him in, and boom, 30 points. Like that literally won me the week, So
yeah,
he is definitely a league winning style or a week winning style player. You know what you have,
Yep.
I definitely am nervous going into this division. I know we mentioned earlier I'm in second place in the division, but I have a higher playoff percentage. But I'm really nervous because I think one thing, my worst picks this year are my wide receiver crew. My entire wide receiver crew is basically gone, and I'm still hanging in there. I can only imagine if I had just picked the next guy over. I had Devontae Adams, which has been good when he produces, but the trade, the Raiders, the Jets, it's been horrible. I finally went the whole Christian Corey Gilmore, the stay with the stats guy. I picked Chris Olave this year. I normally don't pick that guy, but I picked Chris Olave. And she's just been in and out with concussions, and the Saints are now horrible. And I lost Stephon Diggs to the season. And so going in, I know I look good, but going in, I'm pretty darn nervous going up against guys who do have stacked receiver cores. But I am going to go ahead and make a shout out to my favorite pick. Hopefully he keeps me in there. But Chuba Hubbard, third best running back in the league behind Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. But I know it seemed like I was just being a homer and picking somebody like Chuba Hubbard, but everything made sense. The O-line, the coach, the attitude. I just knew it was going to manifest, and I'm happy it did because I drafted him late in all three of my leagues, and that's why I'm kind of in there. He's my guy. But yeah, my worst. I don't know if it was a worst pick. Chris Olave wasn't a worst pick, but it definitely is feeling it the worst with him. I needed that value to come through. Similar in your league, Jake. I need that Sam Laporta pick to come through. If I have that pick come through, I'm rocking easily in. But I have to find a way to make up for that. And Jason Tatum.
I hate my league.
And Jason Tatum did it for me last week with 44 points. Holy smokes. Anyways, but I don't know if we had a chance to pass it on to who we mentioned who your favorite and worst pick is yet. I know Nick kind of touched on it. Jake and Drew, did everybody kind of get a chance to mention their favorite and worst pick?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. I mean, like I said, I'm trying to think of all my leagues, mainly, yours, but I mean, Jameson Williams is probably mine just because with all the injuries, he's been kind of like a savior to have. The other guy that my worst pick, because I also picked him in a lot of leagues thinking he was going to have a big year, was Brandon Ayuk. And, that guy was just miserable before the injury. The other one, in my league, I for the first time ever took A.J. Brown. I took a receiver in the first round, being a standard league. And it's like, my God, for not having any injuries and just, the touchdowns he put up last year, like, what the hell is going on, dude? Like, what is going on? I hate you. I hate you so much.
Well, excellent. Well, moving forward, I know everybody has different amount of weeks that they play. They have different point standings, different schedules, but we want to figure out a way real quick. Do you guys have any last-minute tips to help our viewers squeak into the playoffs? Is there anything that you're looking to do particularly? Me, particularly, I saved my waiver wire spot, particularly for this week in our league. I need a receiver, not just for this week, but for going forward. And so I'm just now, and it's not even a good pick, but I'm finally using my spot on the waiver wire to take who I think is there because I just simply freaking need it. I've held on to it all this time, but now I got to use it. And so any last minute hope that you guys can give out there?
Well, if you're like Ben and you're going to hold on to waiver wire picks, stop holding. Make picks. You got to gamble. Pick up guys. Like, the waiver order doesn't matter right now, because, you got guys like, just like in my league, like my team, like there's not really, I'm riding with my guys. There's nobody I need to pick up. My roster is solid. I just need them to produce and I'm in. The frustrating part on mine is, I know it doesn't mean much, but I like to see it. I'm projected to win every week. Every week I'm projected to win. Every single one. That at least tells me ESPN thinks my team is better than your team. We know fantasy doesn't work that way, but as far as analyzing, as far as depth, as far as positional rankings, as far as all that stuff, my team's better than yours. I'm supposed to win. Obviously, that's not, manifesting in the win-loss column for me, but there's not much else I can do. I'm starting the guys that have good matchups or better matchups or starters and riding with them. So if you have waiver wire guys, definitely use your waiver wire pick. Use your fab money. There's only 3 weeks left. Like, there's no need to save now. If you're hoping for a big injury this week or next week, if you're not even in the playoffs yet, like, you're just praying and hoping. The one thing I'm contemplating is I've had Blake Corum in a couple leagues. I've had, Justice Hill in a couple leagues, waiting on the bench. That whole thing we talked about, just in case running backs get hurt. I'm starting to think, okay, it's time to drop these guys. But again, if you're in the playoff spot, maybe not, because if Kyron Williams gets hurt or somebody gets hurt or whatever, and you're in the playoffs, boom, you already have that guy for your playoff run. But if you're not in the playoffs and you're sacrificing depth, especially with week 13 and 14 coming up, with 6 teams on a bye, I don't know. You're gonna need that depth. So tough decisions, but I think you guys gotta analyze your rosters and go from there.
I would say, just to go back to what Ben was doing, I don't think it's a bad thing at this point into the year to have saved your waiver wire spot or to have saved your fab. You're at a point now where most teams in your leagues are exactly where we're at, where, hey, I got to win. So there's going to be players that are dropped that wouldn't normally be dropped because it's like, you know what, if maybe I can't hold on to Isaiah Pacheco anymore, maybe I need a guy or I have too many bye weeks or whatever. Like, I'm thinking in my league, I'll probably end up going to, drop Raheem Mostert for the Dolphins. He hasn't done anything this year. I get it. But we've seen him in this offense last year. We know what he can do. If Miami gets rolling, or little 160 pound Devon Achane gets hurt, just pay attention to who people are dropping, because you don't have the luxury anymore. If you have to win now to save your season, it ain't about holding guys anymore. So watch who people are dropping, matchups and all that. Like, I get weather's coming into play. Like, make sure you're watching that your kicker's not kicking out in Lambeau Field or anything like that. But last week in my league, at the end of the week, I went onto the waiver wire. There was not one running back that scored over 7 points. And nobody scored a touchdown. Not any running back on waiver wire. So there's not a gem sitting out there anymore. My roommate was actually asking me, I played him this week, and he's like, who should I pick up on waivers to play you? And I was honest with him. I told him, I said, pick up a guy that like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, or somebody that's just has a chance of getting one big touchdown. Or
throw, yeah.
Well, and I think I picked him up, but he didn't start him or whatever. And then sure enough, we're watching Red Zone in the morning, and he gets this long touchdown. But if you do have to pick somebody up off the waiver wires, pick a guy that has that chance of getting just that home run, maybe that one deep ball. He gets 1 or 2 targets, but otherwise, you don't put any faith in what's out there, because there's no gold mine or nothing.
For me, it really comes down to, don't play the name game, right? I mean, I think a lot of teams now, look at the Niners. Me being a huge Niner fan, dude, I have Juwan Jennings, I think, in our league.
I got him in Nick's league, in our league, and he is going to be my league winner. He is going to be my league winner. I'm so stoked I got him.
So, look at that. For me, being a biased, a Niners fan, I'm biased, right? I always, I love Debo. I think, dude, this is the week Debo is going to fucking pop. You know what I mean? Debo's going to have a monster game. I didn't play Juwan Jennings because history has Debo, he destroys Seattle throughout his career. Always has. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with it. Debo's going to bounce back. He's going to have a monster game. Dude, it's just, you have to look at the stats and the box score at the end of the game. don't stay true to, oh well, Debo's done it in years past, or this guy's been a monster. Like, oh, DeAndre Hopkins, he's always been good. He's with Mahomes, he's gonna have a monster game. Don't fall for the trap. You know what I mean? And this week especially, Jake was talking about it. This week especially, there's a lot of bye weeks, dude. People are going to be dropping bigger names than usual. If there's a person to be looking out for, it's this week. Like Jake said, if he drops Raheem Mostert, you better believe it. I'm going to try to dump Fab and go get Raheem Mostert. Like, I'm going to do it because there's a chance that, Devon Achane is small and he is going to get hurt. And it's like, if I can get a starter, especially in the freaking division weeks, 100%, I'm going to try and take Raheem Mostert if he's there. So just keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on the waiver wire for sure this week. There's going to be a lot of drop candidates. There's not a lot of people to add, but there's a lot of people that are going to probably get dropped. You're like, oh, shit, you got dropped? Oh, like, be on the alert for sure, like at 3 o'clock in the morning.
I see a few guys right now, like in our league being a full point PPR, like I'm looking at who's available right now. Adam Thielen comes back this week. I believe, last year with Bryce Young, he started out really hot, the beginning of the year. It's PPR, full point per catch. He gets, if you get 6, 7, 8 catches for 40 yards, there's your 10 points. If Mike Evans comes back, Jalen McMillan is sitting there. Mike Evans draws a lot of attention. Jalen McMillan will be, he was drafted to be that number 2 guy. You probably won't see a lot of double coverage. The other one, Juju Smith-Schuster. Chiefs just took their first loss. They're looking for some spark on offense. He's a deep threat. If you need that one home run hitter guy, he's there. Not saying these guys are going to, win you a season, but they may win you a week.
Fantastic. Well, like I said, I just for the sake of our viewers, I really get excited about this part because it really does show that it is close and we're all in this, and a lot of it is bragging rights. Yeah, we get a money pot at the end of the year, but a lot of this is bragging rights, and I hope our viewers see that we are into this. We are into it, trying to find an edge everywhere we can, every week, just to get a win because it's important to us. So I do believe you're in the right spot here at the Sports Ranter. If you are truly looking for wins and trying to find a way to humiliate your coworkers, we are the right people for you here and now. And so moving along to the next topic, the Bills, Jake, beat the Chiefs. And we were going to get ready for what we might have seen and what kind of yellow stuff we might see in the air. But did the Bills show us a blueprint to beat the Chiefs, or was it just kind of a fluke win? Is this significant going forward for the rest of the season?
It definitely wasn't a fluke win. I mean, since 2020, counting the regular season and playoffs, that series between Bills and Chiefs is split 4-4. The Bills, they had a great game, and they didn't make mistakes. Josh Allen is a fucking animal. I'll just say it. That guy is an animal. I do think there is a difference in the offense this year, and Josh Allen elaborated a little bit more with the offensive coordinator that took last year, and he said, in this offense, everybody eats. And what it basically was saying was, we're not – he wasn't pressured. We got to hit Diggs. Diggs was unhappy all the time, had to get Diggs' his target. You don't see him taking these downfield shots all the time. He's spreading the ball around. They're running the ball very, very well. But Bills got to beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. They beat them in the regular season last year too. I do think that they are the two best teams in the AFC. I'm not sold on the Ravens anymore. The Ravens, just when they lay an egg, man, it's a big egg. And I don't think the Steelers have the offense to really put up or to keep up with the Bills or the Chiefs. But I definitely think the Bills are for real. They got a good pass rush, and their offense is definitely different. I'm definitely scared. They just don't have that receiver that's gonna overpower.
Get open.
Yeah. It's like, that catch by Amari Cooper, the one-handed catch. It's like if the ball's not put there, because every receiver is just covered all the time, and so it's got to be just this perfect pass. But their running game looks good. Their O-line looks good. I definitely think that they have, the team to beat the Chiefs. But at the same time, too, the Chiefs are definitely their offense looks different this year. Got a great defense. I think the defenses between both teams are very even. It's going to be another historic game when they meet in the playoffs. I really believe that it's going to be another historic game. We're really seeing the new Brady Manning era, I think, rivalry with these two guys. But, I go and I rave about Josh Allen and the talent and this and that. And there's no quarterback in the league that when the game is on the line and it's like, they're going to decide, I'm going to take this ball, I'm going to run through 15 guys, okay, there's not that much, but, and it's just like the guy is just a horse. I'm sorry. And there's very few quarterbacks that can do that. And it's like every time they got 3rd and 2 or whatever, it's like, don't hand the ball, don't throw it, let Josh Allen just get it, because there's no way he's going to stop him. And they didn't stop him. So I think the Bills. I think this is their year to beat the Chiefs.
Drew, before I pass it to you, the same question. I want to say thank you, Seth, for loading up our comments here. Seth did share that he's in multiple leagues. He's winning in most of them. But the one league he cares about is your league, Jake, and he is losing. And so that's just how it is, right, guys? You're emotionally attached to the one that you want to win.
God, I got to get you into this league, Nick.
I know. It's going to happen. We're going to figure out a way.
I lost. Last night, I was up by 41 points. I was going against Joe Schabo. He had CeeDee Lamb and Joe Mixon. Non-PPR. Non-PPR. Joe Mixon has the game of his life. I scored 137 points. I was the second high scorer in the league, and I was scored higher at 29 points higher than the third highest scorer in the league, and lost. It was killer. The whole league is like this. I got to get you in somehow.
Yeah, it's really something. But I just wanted to say that real quick. Sorry, Drew, to interrupt. But yeah, Bills and Chiefs, man. What'd you think?
I mean, it's like I think Jake said, it's the tale of two giants, man. I think these guys are going to be, they're already in the forefront. They're already in the top 5 conversation. As far as like who the quarterbacks are, this, that, and the other. Whatever. But I mean, Josh Allen's a stud, dude. Like he definitely is capable of getting the job done. It's unfortunate. It's just like there's so many good quarterbacks that get lost, in eras because of how good a specific quarterback is, like Tom Brady, obviously he's going to overshadow guys that were really good quarterbacks. I mean? He just is. Same thing with Mahomes. He's going to overshadow these guys that are really good quarterbacks. It's like, Aaron Rodgers gets lost in, some of this Tom Brady stuff because, I mean, yeah, we talk about it now. Obviously, this is 15 years later, but or 10 years later. But, dude, Aaron Rodgers was on the track of being like that guy. Drew Brees barely gets mentioned because Tom Brady was that guy. You know what I mean? Like it's just so hard because you have these quarterbacks that are just amazing that are going to overshadow. But so until Josh Allen beats Mahomes in the big game, he's always going to be the little brother. You know what I mean? And it's like, can he overcome it? I don't know. And the thing is like, yeah, I mean, Mahomes has that element of just ridiculousness that it really doesn't matter who's on his team. He's going to get the job done. Josh Allen has the opportunity to do it this year. Like if Josh Allen wins the Super Bowl this year, it's like, it's going to silence a lot of haters for sure on him. And I think it's just going to propel him into that, that tier where he belongs in. Like he's already there, but I'm saying like,
you got to win one.
Everybody's going to continue to keep hating on him until he beats Mahomes. That's really what I'm coming down to.
He's going to gain a lot of lovers for stopping a 3-peat.
Oh, for sure.
Oh. Well, right, Nick? He stopped the 3-peat, but he stopped the perfect season.
Yeah.
He actually stopped a lot of things. I mean, I listened to First Things First. I'll shout out to Nick Wright, but 30 games of Chiefs. Just hey, I like him other than him being a Chiefs fan.
Not a sponsor, but fuck that guy. You know what I mean?
I do. I find myself agreeing with a lot of his takes, except his Chiefs takes. But anyways, like the Chiefs hadn't given up 30 points in 30 games. They broke that streak. Obviously, the winning streak hadn't lost a game in 15 games, the undefeated season. Uh, there was another there's like five or six other or like three other things that he rattled off, but the difference was in my mind that it seemed like the Bills kind of pushed the Chiefs around a little bit, and that's what we hadn't seen in the past in my mind. And it was nice to see a good critical holding call on the Chiefs. You know, it's kind of ironic that it's pretty hard to overcome a penalty, right, and win a game when you're playing against a really good team. So when they get a critical holding call and that horrible tackle that they have that holds every game, and it finally put the Chiefs back in a critical situation, and they can't overcome and win the game. Kind of
Yeah.
sucks, doesn't it? You know. But that's what we were talking about last week, and that's why I was trying to bring it back around. Is when you have two good teams, two good quarterbacks, and you have to overcome the refs or not overcome the refs. Sometimes, and I'm not saying that Bills won because of that. What I'm saying is it just adds that extra little element that, it's the game of inches, right? So
Right.
one extra holding call, one extra this. Doesn't matter when you have an elite team versus a garbage team, but it matters when you got two elite teams and
Right.
every yard counts. And we see it come down to that. But I think the Bills are set up nicely, and to beat them in the playoffs in the cold. It's the best O line Josh Allen's had. They can actually run the ball.
Yeah.
They can push them around. They don't have to sling it across the yard all the time to try to keep up with Mahomes. They can beat them in a low scoring game. And that's what I think is going to happen. And then, I think the difference was we saw it a few years ago where we thought Josh Allen made the final play with 13 seconds left to beat Mahomes. And he never got that chance again until this time around, right?
Right.
4th and 2, ball in his hand, get the first time, or just go win the game. And he was the one that was able to come through, right? You
Right.
flip the situation, we know Mahomes comes through. Well, I think that's a huge booster for Allen and that team, knowing, hey, if we have the ball, we have a chance to win this game, we're going to go win it. Just like we all know when Mahomes has the ball, they got a chance to go win. We all know the game's over.
Right.
He's going to go win it.
There was
They
a
need
picture
they need that attitude against the Chiefs, though. They know they can do it against everybody else. I think these last years in the playoffs, a little bit of doubt could have creeped in. So that's where I think this game, even though it's a Week 11 game, doesn't matter. It's regular season. I think that's where it could benefit them in the postseason. Meaning, hey, give us the ball, give us a chance to go win the game. We'll go win it. They actually did it. It's one thing to say we can. It's another thing to say we did. We do.
There was a picture that came out today. I was just scrolling through all my sports pages on Instagram, where it showed Josh Allen. It was before the drive where he scored that touchdown to clinch it. But they were ahead and there was no time and they just got the ball back or whatever. And he was sitting on the bench and he looked completely like worried, like depressed, like everything was like their way. And it's just like he had this look where it was like, we've been here before, we know this. But Nick, like you said, and I didn't bring it up because I just don't want to keep beating this horse with the Chiefs and all that. But let's see if I thought the officiating in that game was great. I thought that there were perfect calls called on both. I don't think there was any kind of bias at all. Let's see if that carries through to the playoffs. Let's see that carries through if the Chiefs get home field and Taylor Swift is there and all that stuff. If we get that kind of game called where it's down the middle and it can come down to those things and not the referee flags, going down the field.
Yeah, as a fan, it was a great game because, like you said, Jake, we're talking about it, and the only reason why I brought it up is because we know how horrible that right tackle is, and he finally got a holding call called on him. That's the only reason why. But you don't come out of that game like, oh, the refs affected that game, and that's what we want as fans. We want it to be officiated, of course, because we want it to be fair.
Right.
Don't make it so obvious one way or the other, that or non-calls or the other too, that where we come out of the game, it's like, okay, we have these two juggernauts and we don't even feel like we saw a fair game.
Which we can all agree, whether it's calls or non-calls, and it's whether it's against the Bills or not, the Chiefs have been the benefactor of all those over the last few years, in some pretty critical situations, pretty critical moments.
I just want to see one holding call against that tackle every game. That's it. That's what I want to see. Or a full start or a couple false starts, because he does it every game.
Right.
That he does it every game. It's on film. It's on TikTok. It's on Instagram. It's obvious. It's easy.
He's the
Like
left tackle, right?
we're not
The right.
asking the right
It's
tackle.
Yeah.
Taiwan,
The left or right?
Taiwan Taylor, whatever his name is.
It's the right tackle.
Taiwan Taylor. It's the right tackle.
It's the right tackle.
Yeah,
Like,
they don't want. They don't want.
Just call the obvious. I don't care about the ticky tacky stuff. Just call the obvious ones. That's it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, look, I didn't get a chance to watch the whole Bills and Chiefs game. I watched the start of it, saw the Xavier Worthy touchdown, perfect. But I had to go to sleep because of work. Okay, but all I remember is waking up, and when I saw the Bills win, 31-20, right, or whatever, there's just a huge relief, right? Huge fucking relief. Like, okay, they can be beat. I can promise you there was the same feel and emotion around the rest of the league. Relief. It kind of brings me into the next subject. Okay, so there's a really strange phenomenon going around in the celebration of sports. It doesn't matter if it's football, college football, international soccer, or even the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Drew, I want to ask this to you because I know everybody else has plenty to say. Okay. But after 4 freaking years of the COVID pressure, the collusion, the nonsense, whatever, you couldn't say nothing. Why is it now that we're seeing the dance heard around the world everywhere you go? Can you explain it to us? Go.
Well, I mean, I'm going to say this. I mean, no, but we didn't talk about it on the show, which I was actually really surprised nobody brought it up. I didn't want to bring it up because I don't care. But Nick Bosa on the Sunday Night Football game had the Make America Great hat again. And I thought he was going to get a huge fine, possible suspension.
I thought he did. He got a fine, right?
He got a $10,000 fine.
Okay, go.
I mean, on a
$2.
I'm just saying, yeah, pretty much. I mean, when we can get into it if we really want to, but I don't want to get into that level. But when Colin Kaepernick makes a statement and he gets banned for life, and then you're doing a political statement and you get slapped on the wrist, it's kind of crazy to me. But neither here nor there. It's just weird, you know. It's but I don't blame it. Like, I mean, everybody's gonna do their thing. Everybody's proud. And the thing is that there's a lot of people out there that make Trump like a form of religious leader, like he's a god, you know. And this guy is, I mean, he's our president. It is what it is. Like, I'm not nearly as big as it on you guys are, but it's interesting. It's interesting to see how much, you know, like, love this guy has, you know, and it's kind of funny, you know. I don't care. I'm not really one side or the other. I'm always kind of an independent person as far as like the way I look at my politics and stuff. But, you know, it's definitely alarming how many people are all about this guy, you know what I mean? And just how happy people are once he's actually nominated. It's cool.
I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and take it before I pass it on to the next two real quick. The way that I see it is 4 years ago we were seeing guys falling on the field and over something different, right? A different like pandemic or whatever, and you were seeing it around the world. There was just a different feel 4 years ago. And so what I see in the sports world right now is just relief. It's like no one's got to deal with the bullshit no more, and everyone's doing the dance. Go ahead, Nick. What do you think?
I mean, you hit it right, you know, on the nail, Ben. It's, you know, again, I don't want to get too political on this show, but it was good to see America just be fed up. I'll leave it at that. You guys all know, I don't got to go into it, but, you know, it was getting pretty extreme in one direction with what kind of law changes and just stuff was happening without getting too political. It was getting really, you know, extreme on one end of it, you know, and I was nervous, you know, and I thought it was going to pan out the way it did. But, you know, talking to even my brothers, you guys know my brothers, my family member, it was just a relief to be like, okay, people had enough. Like, it made me have faith in America again. because I know a lot of us were like, what road are we going down with some of this stuff? Like, and so it was just nice to be like, okay, like people got out of control. Let's rein it back a little bit. Let's get back. And I think that's the enthusiasm. That was the like, okay, called you out on your BS, like all that nonsense. Like let's just bring it back and let's just talk about, let's be in the middle. Let's just talk about our, what's better for the country, and let's not get so extreme one way or the other. So it's nice to see it in sports on the field. It was nice to see it on election night. That it wasn't even close. It was just like, hey, people had enough. Let's get back. Let's move on. And that's where what I was excited about. And so that's what I think the players are also, and this whole phenomenon, they're just excited. They're like, okay, let's bring it all back and let's have some fun with it. And that's where the excitement comes from.
And you're right. This is a sports show. We're not here to talk about those things, but that's why I asked the question. It's being put out there across the world. So Jacob, please close us out with
how much time we got? 4 minutes? 5 minutes?
Yeah, we're good. We've got a little extra time. Go ahead.
I am going to get a little political because since you asked me to keep doing it, I'm going to get a little political. Okay? Listen, I'm going to tell. Look.
Rightfully so, though. You should be allowed to. Okay.
First off, overall, without any candidate or anything like that, without any specific candidate or anything like that, I think every American, whether what side you're on, has to realize something. The information that we are in front of, that we are subjected to, whether it's the news on TV, whether it's our social media, you have two different sides that are trying to pull us apart and divide us every which way they can. When realistically, when you sit down, you can sit down with any person, race, gender, whatever. We're all about 90% the same. Our views are 90. We all want the same thing for the most part, but we are so trained with our media and with what is in front of us to think that the other side is so evil and that we are the light in the world. Trump is not the light in the world, okay? But the thing is you watched for 4 years. You watched 2 assassination attempts. You watched this guy get shot on TV. You watched you watched the government declare lawfare on Trump and weaponize the judicial system to try and keep this guy out of running again. You watched these elite Democrats, these rich Democrats that, these rich, celebrities and these late night hosts say that the economy is great. Well, normal middle class people are struggling. And so when I see people all over every state, every race, doing the Trump dance and celebrating this, it tells me that what we're being fed about being like, honestly, when I went into election night, I thought there was no chance that Trump was going to win. I thought there was no chance because they had drug him through so bad, through the mud so bad, and wow. He's this and he's that. And he's
you were a believer in Beyonce and Cardi B and all
right, yeah,
and the D list.
Hey,
you were
D list when Whoopi Goldberg on The View goes and says that the middle class is struggling, and she says the middle class is struggling. I am struggling. She's worth $60 million. When I see people of all over the country, of every race and every location in the country doing the Trump dance, it tells me, it's like, you know what, this white rich billionaire resonated, and more people could connect with him than any other candidate that the Democrats could throw up. And that tells me that the country isn't buying the bullshit of this media that is set out to divide us anymore. And that was the thing that made me, the happiest. There's going to be things in the next 4 years. Me being a union guy, Trump, the first thing he wants to do is take away a lot of these agreements, these job agreements that Biden administration had with these unions, that money was going to go into these union projects. Trump wants to take that away. That is going to hurt. That's going to hurt, me as, in my job. But it's a statement when you see everybody everywhere doing these little dances and this and that, it's saying that people finally said, no, I'm tired. Just because I believe in Trump, this better be good. I'm not a racist. I'm not a misogynist. I'm not a homophobe. I'm I'm an average person, and I'm tired of elite Democrats like Whoopi Goldberg telling me that everything is okay when I'm struggling more now than I did when Trump was president. So
Well,
I think it's fantastic, and I hope that people keep doing it, and I hope that it becomes something to where, because honestly, if Bosa was wearing a Black Lives Matter hat, would he have gotten fined? We all know the fucking answer. No, he would not. So I'm glad he did it, and I'm glad that more people are becoming more and more bold to make this statement.
You know what I love about it? You know what I love about it, Ben? Like when you see someone do it, you can't help but smile though. It makes you happy. It makes you happy. Like it's a fun dance. Like
he's an 80-year-old man. He's an 80-year-old man up there going.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like it just instantly, you could not be mad at it. Like I don't care what side you're on.
Nope.
Like it's amazing. It's awesome. I love it.
Thanks for providing the short that I'm going to use and promote for the next week, you guys. It's going to get 100,000 fucking views.
To get disapproved again or what?
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But no, I just want to say thank you. Thank you guys for reviewing. Like this is not a political show, but that is happening around the sports nation, right? People are dancing. Like I said, that's not political. What it was is because doing my studies, why I was surprised what happened election night, Jake, was the Republicans changed the way that they attacked the voting side. Normally they go after the high class voter. But what they saw was that's not what they do. So they went to podcasts. They went to where people are listening, the Joe Rogan shows. If you saw that, dude, Donald Trump was doing podcasts for nobody's I've ever heard of before. It was just part of the agenda.
Actually, before we got on the show, because I'm just super bored all the time now. But like I was listening to a lot of interviews, like post-election interviews, and there was a couple in Pennsylvania that said they were kind of on the fence about who they were going to vote for, and they ended up voting for Trump because Kamala canceled going on the Joe Rogan show, where they knew she was going to be asked real questions that were not softball-fed questions. Where as Trump hasn't dodged anything, and Stephen A. Smith was interviewed by Hannity on Fox, and I got a lot more respect from Stephen A. after watching it. But he did not demonize and like discredit the Trump voter, because a lot of the news anchors and all that said, well, it's uneducated white people, white women that are voting for Trump, and it's uneducated black people. And no, Stephen A. said the Democrat Party has gotten so out of touch with who the average American is and what they need, because the Democrat Party is these elite Hollywood celebrities that do not live the same style of life that we do. And a billionaire like Trump, who goes and one of his campaign stops is working in a McDonald's, is more appealing and more relatable. The felon and a guy who's been people relate more to him. And so the Democrat Party, it's not that I think Trump is necessarily this better candidate, but I think that the Democrat Party has become so out of touch with who America is that they seriously need to do some big evaluations, because Trump won every single voting little demographic. Everything was up. Anyway, I know you got to go.
Well, this is amazing, though. This is awesome, you guys. This is why we're here. Obviously, we're here featuring fantasy football talk, sports fans, but we're all men here occasionally. We're going to discuss those things that are happening in the world, and we're not going to hide from it. And we're going to thank you, Donald Trump, for that. Okay, folks, until next week. Okay, go ahead.
Just to make you guys probably a little more happy. I don't know. I mean, I can care less. But Linda McMahon, apparently Vince McMahon's wife, just got elected to be the top educator of secretary or some shit like that for Trump.
Secretary of Education?
Why? I don't know. But whatever. We're gonna start wrestling in school again. I don't know what's going on.
We can all talk about it after we log off here.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, we do got to go. I have to go. I got a race to But I just want to say thank you, everybody. Thanks for watching. Until next time, next week, 6 p.m. live.
Late.
See you guys.
Late.
Peace be the jerk.